Hello everyone, today I'm going to read Chapter 15 of Derpy Meets the Doctor. Sorry, but fanfics are going to be like a little bit down right now because right now I'm actually holding my microphone because my whole setup is fucking like destroyed and I'm going to be moving soon, so like there's not really a point to just build it back up in my room, so I'm just going to use my laptop. I'm not sure if it's going to cause anything crazy happening to the microphone, but anyways, let's just hop right into the story. Chapter 15, Sunshine and Shadow. With another room nearby, another alicorn with a crystal body, cerise coat, and a violet pale gold and rose-colored mane had the crystal heart. She had removed from the damaged trench coat Nurse Redheart had brought, playing her light blue aura over its surface, digging inside its structure for any malevolence. Princess Cadence dissected a good-sized ball of energy out of the heart, a glowing purple, bilious mass sickeningly twisting and wrapping around itself in her aura. She held it firmly as she waited for Celestia. Meanwhile, a white unicorn with a triple gem cutie mark carried out the damaged coat, carefully making sure the various items in it were safe. She walked over to a light mulberry-colored alicorn, who, after seeing the needs of two of the principal players, returned to her post, who then teleported the fashionista unicorn that had taken the coat to her boutique to repair it, and also secure the equipment inside all those pockets. A few minutes later, in the first room, a second smaller ball of purple energy writhed in Celestia's aura. Trying to get loose, she walked it from the room as the physician and clinician, plus the two nurses, continued taking on the victims' other various injuries, bringing them under control. Dr. Healing was the best there was, as his aura and magic rapidly worked at knitting the patient back together. Though bandages and plasters so abounded, being the personal physician of an immortal alicorn really was the best of both worlds. She was so rarely ill, he could use his time freely, and his lucrative pay allowed him the wherewithal to treat ponies as much as he wanted to without worry about earning a living. He took full advantage of this situation, treating every pony that needed it everywhere he went. Very carefully, Celestia walked into the room Cadence was waiting in, as she brought along her sphere. "Ready, my niece?" asked Celestia. Cadence raised her sphere up slightly more. "I believe so, Aunt Celestia." Celestia then formed a second aura around the one Cadence held. Once the field was properly established, Cadence released hers, leaving the ball floating within Celestia's second aura. Celestia spoke first. "Is the heart clear, my niece?" "Quite clear, Aunt Celestia. I'd like to leave and bring the heart home as soon as I can, once you don't need either of us anymore. Just in case, cast a binding around both spheres as insurance. As I combine them, we should take all possible precautions," Celestia said seriously. "Yes, Princess," Cadence said, re-energizing her aura. Celestia concentrated, brought the spheres together, molding the two into one larger one, then let out a sigh of held breath as they combined without incident. She nodded to Cadence. Cadence dropped the field carefully. Celestia held the large ball firmly. "I think we're finished, Cadence. I'll deal with this. I'd really like to thank you for your help with my little crisis." Cadence chuckled as she put the heart into her saddlebag. "You're always welcome, Celestia. And that standing invitation for you, Looney, and Twi to visit any time still stands." The door opened and Twilight Sparkle walked in. "Twilight, if the circumstances were less perilous, I'd rather dance the ladybug," Cadence said with a smile. "Since I have to get back, I'll settle for something more personal," she said, laughing, giving her a loving hug instead. Twilight held her at foreleg length after. "Thank you, Cadence. How's Shining?" "He's doing wonderfully, Twi. He's having a great time with his new EUP guard, waking them up at all hours, running with them and training them to a razor's edge, getting rid of that." She gestured to the large, glowing purple orb. "He's doing wonderfully, Twi. He's having a great time with his new EUP guard, waking them up at all hours, running with them and training them to a razor's edge, getting rid of that." She gestured to the large, glowing purple orb in Celestia's power. "Well, really take some of his anxiety away, especially with the games coming up so quickly. Maybe he'll be more amenable to starting a family then," she said delightfully, as Twilight blushed. "And with that, I'll take my leave, princesses," Celestia said, a little pang of jealousy as she thought about Shining and Cadence together. Sometimes she wished for some pony like that. like one who would stand up to some laughing, pumped-up psychopath, busy gloating over their own superiority just before their world upended on a few simple words from him. Some pony like the chestnut pony currently in the medical wing. And she really needed to pay all her attention on that nasty thing she held floating in front of her as she left. Celestia carefully walked to a specialized incantation isolation room, or more appropriately, vault in a building just outside of the main Canterlot campus, laying off the ley line node of Canterlot itself, which was directly under the throne room dais. Its isolation and magical warding were for safety's sake. If a spell went wrong, the theory was it would contain the mishap, lest the wayward spell cause injury to Canterlot or Canterlot Castle itself. So far, there weren't any accidents that had occurred to test that hypothesis yet. Celestia held the ugly glowing ball tightly in her aura. Once the door closed and they were alone, she spoke to it. "Well, hello, Sombra," she said as the glowing ball brightened a bit, the sickening relic color showing the curved sigil inscribed white tiles on the concrete walls. She went on. "I see you found another failure to try to get you across the divide again. You're still whispering to unquestioning fanatics about granting unlimited power a jealous demigod like you would never share, aren't you?" It twisted around in the field, probing for weakness. Celestia glared at the bubble with anger. Yet all the while, you're still trying to find a way to imprint your life force into the weak and helpless. Sorry to have to disappoint you, though. Can't have the enslaving thing anymore. It's so previous centuries. So rather than waiting for you to bind up some more power and find somebody else to start the suffering once more, we're going to say goodbye. Permanent. Her aura bowed up a bit more as the purple ball writhed, tried to find a way loose, tried to escape the building wrath inside of the alicorn of the sun. There wasn't one. The twisting abruptly stopped as two green glowing eyes settled on her in anger from within the globe. Celestia suddenly sneered at it. Goodbye. There was a fairly loud bang as she teleported the sphere, straight into the liquefied lava pool inside the dragon's kiln volcano. Inside the tremendous heat that allowed rock to flow more readily than water ever could. The molecular and necromantic bindings and patterns of force that had been King Sombra at one time dissociated forever. Princess Celestia made a mental note to once more review the findings of the horrors that had inspected the outside of the attempted reincarnation. Just in case. She then left, teleporting to her apartment in the castle. Not many knew about her apartment. The question wasn't a huge secret, but what purpose the apartment actually served, Twilight did, after the idiotic Manhattan escapade. And now one great Pegasus who wouldn't even tell her dearest love if Celestia asked her not to. Celestia had long ago moved into other rooms within Canterlot, within what hopefully would be Luna's larger apartment, back after she had banished her younger sister to the moon. The familiar objects had displaced presence. Even the lingering smell of her younger sister served both as touchstone and longing reminder of loss. When she had returned, Celestia remained there, a guiding, comforting, kind, and loving presence that had benefited both of them to reach beyond jealousy and fear. It was just better, and so it was changed. Celestia now used the smaller, garish rooms of her less significant apartment as a teleport target, a place that allowed her to come and go without fanfare or prying eyes. The flowy pastels, the white furniture with the ornamental curves and gold trim that just wasn't her anymore, the silly white carpeting that was so hard to keep clean and pristine. A target and a refuge, a place to hide her pain from everyone, a place very receptive to her loneliness. She threw herself onto the rarely used bed and cried. A week later, John was discharged back to Derpy's home to convalesce. He had made remarkable progress, and his strength was returning quickly. He made some offhand remark about earth-pony fortitude, to which Derpy rolled her eyes over even more than she usually did. "You are no more an earth pony than I am an alicorn, John," she said flatly as she sighed in exasperation. Dinky was out with Liam Bonnie, shopping for dinner that night. They could talk openly without referring to the terrible croup which ambulance fire, which was how they referred to John's injuries when Dinky was in earshot. Well, still have to keep the Earth Pony end up, don't I? Appearances, you know. Applejack and Pinkie Pie would be most displeased if I didn't. Perhaps it'll be by, along with the others, once a day. Once a day can be set. Something about welcome home or something, or some such like that. John took a deep breath. Better sooner than later. Derpy, we need to talk. Got some problems. Love. This last one, it started me thinking. It started me thinking. She looked at him, appreciation on her features in the face of sudden doom, desperation, or last-ditch defiance. His thinking had hoped lead to freedom, safety, and victory. Instead of that, it frequently was a haphazard thing to watch on the occasions she saw it. This felt like no exception. She sat down on the cushion, crossing her forelegs in front of her as she looked at him. Go ahead. Love, I don't think I should stay around too much. It's not safe, he said flatly, staring at her. Really? Having you here, it saved my life. It saved Dinky's life. How many ponies and other living scientists were saved from that future? Logically, all variables accounted for. It's far wiser to have you here than not, she said with finality. She looked at him to see if it took. It didn't. She sighed despondently. He didn't understand. Ah, shit. John, why are you always alone? She asked sadly. Besides him being me, Derpy, I have so many enemies in the universe. They're everywhere, scattered across the whole of time and space. Some deservedly so, others because we bumped heads over things. I was in the war, that terrible, terrible war, and I was forced to a decision. The evil had to be stopped, and to do it, everyone died. No one left, just me, the last Time Lord. For a fleeting second, Derpy saw the pain and horror in those expressive blue eyes of his. How deep the injury was, how unhealed the scarring, to have to make that sort of decision. She understood him a bit better now, and wanted to weep for it. Is that why you travel so much, John? It tears at you so badly. She had a fleeting glimpse in her mind of that first night, the night his nightmare gripped him in his wickedly sweet smell of corruption and death. Deaths that he caused to stop an even more horrible murdering. She saw Princess Luna again. How the power John's nightmare tried to twist her to awaken Nightmare Moon, to release her upon every pony in Equestria, because it wouldn't end this time with Cantala or Ponyville, Manhattan, Philadelphia, or any other single place. It wanted the entirety of the planet. And after that, what then? Could the nightmare seek out the rest of the galaxy to sate her jealousy? Other galaxies? The whole of this universe? All of time and space? Magic and technology under the control of the nightmare. She could do it. She had an enormous lifespan like John did. All she had to do was wait long enough, and the eternal night would have fallen, except he reached out to Luna and took back the pain he must endure alone. Derpy had inadvertently already created one key, her gizmo, safe now aboard the TARDIS. What other creatures in all of this coveted such power? What other keys lay strewn about? Discord already had it as part of what he has. If it weren't for one butter yellow Pegasus mare with a pink mane and a new one of blue-gray fur and blonde hair. Let me just say that again. Discord already had it as part of what he has. If it weren't for one butter yellow Pegasus mare with a pink mane and a new one of blue-gray fur and blonde hair. John watched her quietly as the enormity of what his existence was touched her. Even the slightest bit it could. He reached out carefully, wiped the tears away she was weeping without a sound. I can't do it, love. I can't tell all that just go. Wait, what? I can't do it, love. I can't let all that just go. I have a burden I have to bear alone. Just me. John, she said quietly, sadly. I know. I understand, he said quietly as well. You are so bloody thick. You should be used for reactor shielding. He froze, the hoof against her... What? What the fuck just happened? He froze, the hoof against her face as a tear wound its way down the hoof, dipped into the fur of his fetlock around his foot. What? He said, totally shocked. She stared at him. You've been a Time Lord "You've been a Time Lord too long, Doctor," she said quietly, but with steel in her voice. He stared at her, as the gently whirling eyes suddenly snapped into piercing focus. The gaze was bewildering him. He had never seen that before. "You listen to me now, Time Charger. Maybe back where you came from, humanoid or Time Lord, it was acceptable to meander the whole of time and meander the whole of time and space alone, or with sparse acquaintances, but what that was then." Derpy continued, the voice still soft, but the ringing voice of truth in it made it an irresistible force. "John, we are ponies for all our existences. From the first moments equines walked this world, we have been herd creatures. We have always sought out our own kind for mutual assistance and protection. As we changed and our brains and mind grew, we let go our animal behaviors and became civilized, but we never let go of that part of us that brings us together. Even to forget that it has part of us is disastrous. Heartwarming Neve's very celebration is to remind us of what we are: a group, a band, a herd, a family. You wonder why we come together so much? Why friends and family are so important? Because it's us." This is gonna be a whole new meaning of fucking ponies and shit. "One of the worst punishments for a pony is to be left in solitary existence. It works on our hearts and our minds. It changes us. We fear to be alone, apart. It's not who we are, and why Luna fights to be who she really is. Not the nightmare. The nightmare separates her from us. She hates that part of her, just as you hate what your heritage made you." She took his right foreleg from her face, pressed it to his chest. "What you endure, I can barely understand even the small part of it that I know, but to believe that it is only for you to bear apart from us is utter madness. You are fighting the very bedrock of your new existence, John." He intently watched her eyes as understanding reached him. His heart leapt in his chest. "Family." Nodding gently, she smiled, and then she leaned forward, cheeks together, and kissed the side of his face. It was like lightning was traveling between them, cold, then hot, the vibrant ringing in his ears like thunder. She broke the kiss, smiled again, her head slightly down. He watched as the golden pools of her eyes started to gently whirl around again. He wanted to drown in them, to be swept up into their golden radiance, and never be left alone again. He took her chin in his hoof, lifted her head, and kissed her like he couldn't have enough of her kindness, her determinations, her strength, her love. A few days later, Derpy was putting her mail into her mailbox when special delivery arrived, carrying a very ornate letter. "Hello, Derpy, this one is for you. Sign here," he said, producing a reception list and a clipboard. He held it steady with his aura as she signed for it. Derpy was surprised only her name was on the list. Confused, Derpy opened the envelope and started to read. "Greetings and salutations," it began, as she read out loud. Don't read out loud, you crazy fuck. Remember, you're a part of this whole little group now. "Her Majesties Princess Celestia and Princess Luna do hereby summon the pony of Deserla de Ramina, Esmeralda Vandu, her daughter Dinky Do, and Dr. John Smith of Crouppridge to the court of Canterlot Castle 1 week from today at high noon. There she is to offer her bona fides and stand to the office of royal messenger," she said, her voice trailing off. "Wow. Wow, yeah, guys, let's go. Wow, you even got the formal presentation letter. Everybody else gets the standard 2-page typed reply and a start date for a rotation with the steward for their jobs at Canterlot. Hope you have something formal to wear, like a grand galloping gala dress," special delivery chuckled. Derpy experienced several moments of near panic, eyes going wide, when she realized the only thing she had even liked that was a paper bag dress, she made with muffin applique stickers with similar paper bag, hat, and shoes. A giggly costume she made for trick-or-treating or on Nightmare Night with Dinky 4 years ago. Special Lyric saw it, decided to behave. "Whoa there, Philly, just joking. Just wear your Mailmare uniform," he said kindly. "It's an appointment ceremony, not anything requiring evening formal wear. Relax. You won't even get thrown out of the door to work your new job alone the first day. You and I will be working together for a bit at first until you learn the ropes." He went on, your promotion is even off-cycle as Canterlot's fiscal year starts in late spring, so you won't be buried in all the kids being sentenced to squireship and such. It also means you won't have to deal with all the nobles jockeying for line presidents prior to the ceremony. Those blue bloods can be real pains in the flank. But. Seriously, Derps, take it easy. The princesses are probably just showing off to some foreign dignitary. More than likely, I have to get back. You've got to finish your route. He pointed to the single cab and the royal guard Pegasus pulling it. And you won't need that either, since you can fly yourself. I honestly didn't get why they had a unicorn do this job when it needed a pegs eccentricity. I suppose. He climbed aboard the cab. Okay, Broadfeather, back to the castle. Derpy watched him go. They went inside her house for lunch, deep in thought. I don't, Derpy began. You certainly won't in that civil service Mailmare burlap bag, darling. It's so ill-fitting. I simply want to retch every time I even look at it. Put this one on instead. It's tailored to you to a T. She floated a garment bag that she was carrying off her back onto Derpy. Ah! She floated a garment bag that she was carrying off her back and onto Derpy's. Derpy reddened. Already, I think nothing of it, Sugar Cube. It's from all of us. She just did the hard parts, Applejack said, being Fluttershy nodded with her shy smile. Ain't Wonderbolt's cool, but I guess it's alright, said Rainbow Dash with a gentle smirk at the inside joke. Derpy smiled at that. I forgot she was a Wonderbolt. Right. Dashie, come over my house one day. I've got a surprise in my closet to show you, she said, delighted at the look of confusion Dash got on her face. Piggyback jumped in irrepressible. Party, she said boisterously. You know it, Derpy said. She was doing her own version of John's brilliant, toothy smile, a rather pretty, brilliant smile in its own right. Aw, I'm loving this. Derpy went to the bathroom, took off her old Royal Mail uniform, and gently set it to the counter next to her old mailbag, sealing out the jacket fabric with a hoof. She stood, regarded it for a moment. The lovely blue color she liked so much, it was a shade darker than John's box, but all in all, not too far off. The gold was just shiny brass, but it was hers. It represented a part of her life of love, stability, and comfort. It hadn't been sitting on the counter for more than 15 seconds, and she missed it already. Sighing, she opened the garment bag and drew in a sharp breath. There were several uniform pieces in the bag. She knew they were designing new fabrics, but it was amazing how light the various parts were, like they were manufactured from cloud. A gorgeous white high-colored jacket trimmed in Luna's midnight blue, Royal Messenger insignia on the collar, with buttons that to have been gold-plated after they had been buffed to a mirror shine, paired with a midnight blue skirt trimmed in celestial white. It had to be a formal wear. The uniform stated unequivocally the wearer was ranked in the Darky's court and carried the weight of the throne behind it. What? Why did she have that power? Carry the weight of the throne behind it. A garrison cap like Commander Easy Glider used to wear, white with midnight blue piping, a Canterlot court device also in gold, already mounted. A second jacket, in a familiar blue, much more practical than her old one. Clips were placed with buttons and snapped open and closed easily by hoof. An experimental tug gave a gentle surprise. They locked positively and held firmly, but opened easily at her touch. Once she got the hang of them, no more dropped letters from an equipment malfunction, she chuckled to herself. 2 pair of blue skirts for 3-season deliveries, as well as pants for the winter, a white scarf for the cold, and an overcoat with wing vents, 2 hats, one for normal days, blue with a polished black bill and gold mirror buttons, another for the cold in a warm net, and a pair of gold-trimmed flight goggles, expensive ones, Solaras, like the Wonderbolts were nowadays, raked back at the corners of her better peripheral vision, and precise-fitting eye cups, probably auto-darkening in full sun too. Smiling slightly, she put them on. There was a quiet click, and the goggles did something she hadn't expected. A thin ring sight appeared in front of her as various displays came on, heading, airspeed, ground speed, altitude, all ghosted in front of her. The voice transmitted through her skull bones whispered in her ears. John's voice. "Oh, come on, Doctor, what?" "Purely lock active acquiring," it said, then clicked again. Lock set adjusting. The world suddenly jumped into crystal clarity. Adjustment complete. Now don't be angry, Derpy. I love your eyes as they are, but I worry when you're out flying trees and towers and rain and all that. I want to help. Yes, well, no, well, actually, yes, I need to help. I made you these. They'll help. So that means I'm helping, I think. She smelled the beautiful smell. Then the goggles safe against her forehead, she put the formal uniform on, placing her old Mailmare outfit in the bag with the other pieces. Until she got home, she could give it a friend. She could give it a friend next to it. Until she got home and could give it a friend next to it in the closet. Finished, she looked in the mirror, concentrated, blinked. Her eyes stayed centered just long enough for her to tip and rake the garrison cap just right. The control device on the panel just over her right eye. Wow, this is a good-looking outfit. The smile gained wattage as she put the garment bag on her back. She placed the battered mail bag in its spot on her left and walked back out. She was surprised to find Twilight Sparkle and Luna waiting for her as the others watched. As she bowed, Luna lifted her mailbag free. Your Highness?" she asked, puzzled. "A trade pony is used to the tools they employ when they work, Derpy," Luna said gently, as she passed the bag to Twilight. "One cannot simply change them. I would be completely lost without my Amazonia GC8000 game controller, and notice, the only thing you've brought with you from your former position is that bag, Twilight." Twilight's aura glowed for a few seconds as it passed over the bag. With a deep breath and a sigh, she passed it back to Luna. "I think I got it right. Oh, let's go! I haven't used a transformative spell like that in a while." Luna eyed it critically. "It appears your skills are still intact, Twilight. It's perfect." She turned it in her aura so Derpy could see. The Royal Mail Service seal was gone, replaced with the old declaring the Royal Messenger Service. "And a couple more, I think," said Luna as she concentrated. The bag was enveloped by the blue aura and began to glow. A few seconds later, there was a bright flash. As the bag resettled itself into its accustomed place, Luna also sighed and relaxed. Derpy reached around to look at the emblem again. She felt a slight tingle from residual magic. Curious, she looked at the two alicorns. "My doing, Derpy," Luna declared. "That bag is going to be carrying important things from now on. Things we wouldn't want just anyone to see. Only yourself and we alicorns can open and close that bag now. And should some pony or something Namiko get a hold of it and try using brute force to get it open, I recommend you maintain a discreet distance from it." "Why?" Derpy innocently asked. Luna smiled slyly at her. "Because of the explosion, of course." Luigi was going to say that. Every pony watched as Celestia and Luna received Derpy in the throne room. She passed the letter she received from special delivery to Wolf as she had told her to do, in his formal tux and tails, white trimmed in the blue, his pants to the opposite, just like Derpy was wearing. He then read it and passed it to Luna. Resplendent in her brushed finish argent armor, she read it next, and then passed it to Celestia. In her mirror-like gold arm, Celestia read it aloud to the small group. "With the forms properly met, and in the presence of these witnesses, we, Princess Celestia and Princess Luna, the Diarchy of Equestria, do hereby appoint the Sorella, the Primina, Esmeralda, one due to the court of Canterlot, and to the duties and privileges of the royal messenger for as long as she desires the post." And right on cue, John Smith, formerly of another dimension entirely, began his part. "Hip hip hurrah!" he shouted. Though every pony else said hooray, even Fluttershy getting up the moxie to join in, they all did it two more times as Derpy looked on in embarrassment. The royal steward left directly after the cheer to take charge of the reception in the ballroom. The court attendants did as well, the scribe floating the appointment record in front of him. As Celestia presented the appointment letter back to Derpy, Luna watched as the court left. The moment all of them were out of the room, she closed the doors with her aura. As you wished, messenger, let us begin. Celestia herself read the citation, the dry, stilted language that would never capture the complete terror of the moment that she was stepped in front of the angel, hoping against hope that she would save John, who would then manage to save everybody else, and the sinking, hollow flame that came after. And with that, Princess Celestia levitated the medal and placed over her head. The ribbon was wide ribbed, striped in blue and white, the medal in silver and gold, the gold glistening in the light, the dull silver catching highlights, the suspending bar reading, "Extraordinary." Below was the medal itself, a circle of suns and moons. The two sisters swirled in motion and around the center, the equestria seal gracing it in the middle, and the words for valor written around its edge. It was beautiful, and it depressed her. Oh, come on. Everybody else had went for the ballroom reception, John and Dinky in the lead. He was spinning some fanciful tale of having met a queen in his past life named Victoria, who really didn't care for him much. Oh, I like Victoria. Derpy had begged off for a few minutes for the bathroom, and she said after everybody had left, she walked out of the throne room. Head down, she stopped, leaning against the wall, profoundly sad. The royal steward turned the corner, skidded to a stop. His sitting chart was missing the Mare of Honor, and Wolf being Wolf, he went looking for her, his eyes opened wide when he saw the medal she wore. Wilfred Lance, the former Sergeant Major of the Canterlot Royal Guard, immediately stiffened to attention and raised his right front leg in salute with precision and snap. Derpy stared at him bewildered. "Derpy, hun, you gotta return the salute." "Derpy, hun, you gotta return the salute," Lance whispered, still holding the position smartly. "Oh," Derpy said as understanding dawned, still saluted back. Wilfred lowered his, still staring in amazement. "Derpy, why are you wearing the equestria extraordinary valor medal?" he said in awe. The highest award for bravery in the service of Equestria was around the neck of one of his dearest acquaintances, and he had absolutely no idea why. Then he saw her face, the doubt, the pain, the self-recrimination, and then he understood. He had seen that same look on hundreds of veterans returning from faraway places. "Tell me about it, troop. Leave nothing out," Sergeant Major Lance said, a foreleg over her shoulder, as he sat them both down on a quiet bench. As she cried, the gulp ridging her dry. The end. Ah, I feel sad for her, cause I feel like she doesn't really deserve it. Like, that's me just saying from her perspective. Like, I feel like she doesn't feel like she deserves it, but she fucking deserves it. Okay, so that'll be the end of all other chapters except for the epilogue, which is gonna come next. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching and doing whatever the fuck you guys do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
100,000 stories have filled my head as I look for the end.